So a man goes on a centering prayer retreat. You guys are even laughing. Yeah, and everything goes wrong, right? So a man goes on a centering prayer retreat, and it's for a weekend, and he's doing his silent prayer, and he feels this peace he hasn't felt. He can't even remember the last time he felt so calm and peaceful. And he decides when he returns home, he's going to retain this peace and exercise the virtues of patience. So he gets home, he opens the door, and his wife immediately runs out and says, "Take this baby," and pushes their 2-year-old in his arms, and she's irate, and she's, "I'm going to the room." Goes to the room, slams the door. And he's like, she didn't say hello. And he was so excited to tell her, and he's like, calm, breathe. So he calms the baby down, and he's like, "Oh, this is great. I took the opportunity of that moment of affliction to be present with my baby." Puts the baby down, notices the dishes are full in the dishwasher. Like, "I will help out my wife. I will empty the dishwasher." And as he sees the knife that he loves, this very expensive knife that has been subjected to the inhospitable environment of the dishwasher. He's like, I told her, don't put this in the, nobody listens to me. And he's like, no, she's the baby all by herself this weekend. Okay, she's putting it all away, and then she opens the door, and he looks at her brightly, and she says, "We're not having dinner with your parents tonight," and goes back in the room. And like, this is the 3rd time she's canceled with my parents, and they've been murmuring, and I just wish they would figure it out. And he's like, okay, calm down. And then when he opens his eyes again, he sees that the dog has chewed his shoes, the cat's litter box is not clean, and then the boss texts him, and the text says, "While you've been dilly-dallying at your retreat, we have had to cover for your mistakes. Get to the office now." And he's like, "Why is everyone making it hard for me to be enlightened?" And the baby starts wailing, and he's like, "I've had it." And he punches the wall. So the Apostle Paul said, "I do the thing that I don't want to do, and I can't seem to do the thing that I want to do. Who will save me?" How many of you have felt like this? This poor man, us, we are all caught in this thing. And we think, I tried to be patient. It was an honest attempt. And yes, don't stop. But that isn't the problem, is that you can't just exercise virtue. The problem is all the programming, you're going to hear it over and over again, all the programming that has been there since the moment you were born. So for me, like, that program is 50 years old, right? So this weekend retreat and a 50-year-old program, not exactly an immediate fix for this thing that I keep doing that I don't want to do, and the thing that I want to, I can't seem to do. So this is the 4th sermon in the Keating series, and you can read the other sermons on how we develop these programs. Today, I want to talk about afflictive emotions. Afflictive emotions. We know these feelings. anger, rage, greed, lust, and jealousy, kind of a trifecta. Pride and shame, kind of the same coin, two different faces. Grief and sadness. So these are all afflictive emotions. And we usually have a value judgment on our afflictive emotions, and then we have immediately upon it what we call afflictive thoughts. These commentaries we make about ourselves and the world based on our afflictive emotion. So we're going to talk about these two things, and then we're going to talk about the practice, the lifelong practice of noticing these, noticing our programs, and consenting to God's grace, that invitation to love, so that we are freed by God from our afflictive emotions and thoughts and programming, so that we can begin to dismantle those long, old programs. So that is what we're going to talk about today. So let's return to our man here and watch how he begins to work. So he walks in and he feels angry with some of the things that's happening. And so he begins, even without knowing it, making commentaries based on his emotions, right? Like, so for example, he will look at what she, like for instance, she might not have cleaned the dishwasher, but looks like she left all her craft projects out, right? And he might be go, well, she had time to do crafts, but she didn't have time to clean, right? Well, my wife has her priorities mixed up, you know? So it's all those things where we have an emotion, this afflictive emotion, but instead of just containing it there, we immediately, faster than a nanosecond, will make a commentary, draw a conclusion about someone and about ourselves. So it can escalate. So for instance, he could say, well, obviously, my wife doesn't care about me, because I told her how important this retreat was and how I've been so stressed out at work, and I've needed this quiet, and she just couldn't even give me a break. You know what? My wife doesn't care about me. In fact, my parents don't care about me. In fact, no one's ever cared about me, ever. They don't appreciate me. And they're so selfish. Even this baby. Babies are so selfish. So that's the afflictive series of thoughts and commentaries based on an emotion. And they work together to churn and churn and churn and churn like wheels in a clock. So one program moves, the other program moves, and before you know it, everything's... And sometimes it's moving so fast and so hard, we actually don't realize it's moving this old program from the womb about safety and security, power and control, esteem and affection. And then our thoughts make it harder for us to get down to that place, because the further up your thoughts are away from these programs, the more they look very sophisticated to you. Like, I'm just being very analytical and thoughtful about this. And so those things obfuscate all this churning that becomes an emotional and thought binge. Have you ever heard of the word rant, right? So that's a binge, right? And what the invitation from God is emotional sobriety. Emotional sobriety where we don't chase after these programs thinking they will make us happy. That we would be freed from the clutches of these afflictions. And in fact, the reality is we're the ones clutching the affliction, thinking like, if I just hold on to this feeling, I will get what I want. If I hold on to this thought, I will get what I want. And if you go all the way down to those emotional, those energy centers, what we really want lands in those three places: power and control, safety and security, esteem and affection. But we're kind of confused because everything's moving. So what I want to do is for us to think about now this amazing thing, the gift of afflictive emotions. They are our best teachers. Afflictive emotions are the best teachers of self-awareness. They actually disclose to us what our actual value system is, or are, that actual value systems are, rather than the value system we think we have, but like to fool ourselves that we have, or want to appear. Like, we're wonderful people and we're very calm, right? So an afflictive emotion, if you let it teach you, it will disclose to you what your actual value system is. And then once you identify that system, you can begin to release it, because God is there. God is there to heal you. And when you consent to the healing, you will gain freedom from these programs. And it takes time. But that's how it goes. So the invitation is to, when you feel an afflictive emotion, be it anger or jealousy, shame, pride, lust, envy, take a good look at it. Watch how your commentaries spin off. Right? Watch like, oh, whoa, I'm saying all that. And I used to really be convinced that what I said was true. I love that bumper sticker, don't believe everything you think. And it's like that, right? Like, I'm thinking this, and I'm thinking that, and they must be like this, and they must be like that. Okay, that's my afflictive commentary. The afflictive emotion is jealousy or, whatever it is. Okay, I feel jealous. I feel angry. What is it that I want? What is it that I think I need at this moment that I feel deprived of? And what is the program I'm wanting everyone to participate in so that I can get this? And then ask the question, am I okay without this? Can I be okay without this? And it is very hard to be a student of these afflictive emotions. Even though they're best teachers, we're not always the best student, because the afflictive emotions are churning out chemicals in our body. Fight, flight, freeze, fight, flight, freeze, and you're trying to calm down. Right? It's a lot of practice to as the chemicals are moving, they begin to deplete what Keating calls the well of interior silence. So you have to be pretty calm to learn. And the practice of centering prayer that I will eventually teach us more of is it replenishes that interior silence, so that when an afflictive emotion goes on, you can draw from that well and do that examination. What is it that I'm feeling right now? Most people will say, well, but you, or but them. That's the commentary. Draw it back. What is the feeling? And then think, what value system does this tell me about? What I think the world should be and how it should operate. So that's what afflictive emotions can really do for us. They can teach us. It's not wrong to have an afflictive emotion. It's just an emotion. That's part of the commentary. Oh, I shouldn't feel like this, right? Push it back. But actually let yourself know what it is, and then it will teach you. Speaking of teaching, this thing here is called a priest's stole, and it actually represents a mantle. In the old days, in Jesus' days, a mantle that a teacher wore represented his teaching, his or her teaching. And so when you put on their mantle, you take on their teaching. But this mantle had another name. It was called a yoke. And today you'll see on your cover of the bulletin these oxen with also a yoke. Drag their heavy burden. That's the yoke of an animal. The teaching of Jesus. Yes, our programs are in there, right? What Paul's about, like these members that do stuff to me, these members and this law of sin. That's inside. But Jesus also proclaimed, the kingdom is within you. Jesus has come within us. The kingdom is announced to these afflictions, to these programs, that they will be dismantled when we relinquish and surrender our happiness, our well-being into the hands of God. Because God's actually the only one who can repair this stuff. We've tried, right? We've tried. So I want you to listen to this passage from Matthew as taking on this yoke, the teaching of Christ. And notice how light it is compared to the yoke on the oxen. So this is where we're going when we are examining our programs for happiness. We are also hearing the kingdom proclaimed, freedom, repentance, reconciliation, all within. And those programs will be dismantled. And if we keep surrendering, those 4 consents I talked about last week, doing that consenting work, we will allow God to heal us with grace. So come unto me, all you who are carrying heavy burdens. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me. For I am gentle and humble. And with me you will find rest. Rest. Come. And so let us go. Let us go inward and hear the one who is calling to you with love. And there you are, already, completely loved. Nothing else to do. Amen.